You are standing on the pool deck of a cruise ship. The sun is out. The buffet is open. There are 6,000 people around you. Music is playing somewhere below. Everything looks exactly like the brochure. But somewhere beneath your feet, on the lowest deck of this vessel, there is a refrigerated stainless steel room that nobody on the pool deck is thinking about. It has space for up to 10 bodies. It is required by law on every cruise ship that operates internationally. And on a long voyage, it is not always empty. This is not the cruise ship the brochure shows you. And what happens inside it, the systems, the protocols, the codes, the hidden infrastructure that runs beneath the surface of every cruise, is one of the most carefully concealed operational realities in the entire travel industry. Let me start with the number that puts everything else in context. Approximately 20 to 25 people die on cruise ships every year. That figure comes from industry data and maritime reporting requirements. On the largest ships, carrying 6,000 passengers and 2,000 crew on voyages lasting 1 to 3 weeks, death is not a rare event. It is an operational reality that every ship is designed and staffed to handle. The average age of a cruise passenger skews older. Medical emergencies happen. Hearts fail. People fall. And when they do, the ship does not stop. It does not divert. It continues its scheduled route, and an entirely separate world activates beneath the waterline. Every cruise ship is required to carry a morgue. The facility is located on the lowest accessible deck, typically directly behind or adjacent to the ship's medical center. It is a refrigerated room, lined in stainless steel, with individual storage compartments. Smaller ships carry capacity for 2 to 3 bodies. The largest vessels carry capacity for 6 to 10. The location is deliberate. It is as far from passenger areas as the ship's geometry allows. The access corridors are service routes that passengers never use. When a death occurs on board, the process that follows is triggered not by an announcement, not by a visible response, but by a code. The code used across almost all major cruise lines is Operation Rising Star. Crew members communicating about a passenger death use this phrase. It activates a defined response sequence involving the medical team, security personnel, and the ship's senior officers. The body is transferred to the morgue discreetly through service corridors, typically during periods when passenger traffic in the relevant area is minimal. The family is notified privately. The surrounding area is secured. And to every other passenger aboard the ship, nothing has changed. This system exists for a reason that is simultaneously practical and calculated. A death announcement on a vessel with 6,000 people creates panic, distress, and disruption. The cruise line's interest in managing that information is not purely compassionate. It is operational. A ship where passengers are aware that someone has just died in a cabin 2 decks below them is a ship where the atmosphere changes, complaints increase, and the business model is disrupted. Operation Rising Star is not just a protocol for handling the deceased. It is a protocol for managing the living. The code for a severe medical emergency that precedes a death is Operation Bright Star. When crew members hear this phrase on their radio, they know that a passenger is in critical condition and that the medical team is responding. Operation Bright Star can escalate to Operation Rising Star. Passengers hearing these codes over a crew radio, if they are paying attention, now know what they mean. There is a second code that is used when the emergency is visible rather than concealed. Mr. Mob. This stands for man overboard. When this code is announced, it means a person has gone into the water. The ship will stop. A search and rescue operation will be initiated. Every available crew member with a role in the response will be activated. And if you happen to be on deck when this code is called, the protocol is specific. Keep your eyes on the point where you last saw the person, do not look away, and keep pointing. Human beings are extremely difficult to locate in open ocean. A fixed visual reference from someone on deck has saved lives. Approximately 20 people go overboard from cruise ships every year. The causes vary. accidents, falls, and in a significant number of cases, suicide or suspected foul play. The U.S. Cruise Vessel Security and Safety Act of 2010 requires cruise lines to report missing persons, suspicious deaths, and homicides to the FBI. It also requires CCTV coverage of all areas of the ship except private cabins. The footage is retained for a defined period. When someone goes missing, the first response is not a public announcement. It is a review of the camera system to establish the last known location and the last recorded movement. That camera system is more extensive than most passengers realize. A modern cruise ship carries between 500 and 1,000 surveillance cameras. They cover every public corridor, every stairwell, every deck access point, every bar, every dining room, and every elevator. The footage is monitored in real time by a dedicated security team operating from a room that passengers never see. The system is not there to make passengers feel safe. It is there to give the ship's security operation total situational awareness over a floating city with 8,000 people aboard. The security team itself includes personnel that passengers cannot identify as security. Plainclothes officers move through the ship as passengers. They observe. They intervene when required. They are not visually distinguishable from the people around them. Their presence is one of the mechanisms by which a ship maintains order across a population the size of a small town, in an environment where the normal enforcement infrastructure of a city, police stations, courts, external oversight, does not exist. Because it does not. A cruise ship in international waters is not subject to the jurisdiction of any single country. The law that applies depends on a combination of factors: the flag under which the ship is registered, the nationality of the people involved, and the ports the ship visits. A crime committed in international waters on a Bahamas-flagged ship between a British passenger and an American crew member does not have a single, obvious legal jurisdiction. This ambiguity has historically made cruise ships difficult environments for prosecuting serious crimes. The 2010 U.S. law addressed some of this for ships visiting American ports, mandating reporting requirements and FBI involvement in criminal investigations. But the fundamental jurisdictional complexity of the maritime environment remains. The ship does have its own detention facility. It is called the brig. It is a small, windowless room in the lower crew areas of the vessel, not accessible to passengers. Someone detained in the brig is held there until the ship reaches its next port of call, at which point they are handed to local law enforcement. The brig is used for crew members and passengers who have committed serious violations: assault, theft, disruptive behavior that cannot be managed through other means. Its existence is not advertised. It does not appear on the ship's public map. Below the passenger decks in the crew areas is an entire parallel world that most passengers never see and never think about. The crew quarters are in the lowest sections of the ship. A lower-ranking crew member may share a room the size of a standard bathroom with one or more other crew members. The cabins have no windows. The air is recycled. The engine noise is constant. Contracts specify a 10-hour working day. The reality, reported by multiple former crew members, is 14 to 16 hours. The record documented in published accounts is 19 hours in a single day during embarkation. There are no true days off. The crew is on the ship for the duration of the contract, which can run from 4 to 9 months. They cannot leave at a port unless they have formal permission. The people serving your dinner, cleaning your cabin, running your excursions, staffing the bar, they are living in conditions that the passenger areas of the same ship would be cited for if they were offered as accommodation. This is not a secret in the maritime industry. It is a documented and regulated reality of how cruise ships are staffed and operated. The economic model of a cruise ship depends on it. In 2024, a Royal Caribbean crew member who worked as a cabin steward aboard the Symphony of the Seas was found to have planted hidden cameras in passenger bathrooms. He recorded approximately 960 passengers between December 2023 and February 2024. He was caught, prosecuted, and sentenced to 30 years in federal prison. The case was not an isolated failure of oversight. It was a reminder that in an environment with 2,000 crew members, routine access to passenger cabins, and thousands of guests cycling through over weeks and months, the personal security of individual passengers depends entirely on the integrity of the people assigned to serve them, and on the thoroughness of the background check and monitoring systems that cruise lines use to screen and supervise that workforce. So when you hear the ice cream announcement, and if you sail long enough, you will hear one, you will know what some crew members have suggested it sometimes means. Ships occasionally make large quantities of ice cream suddenly available to passengers without explanation. The explanation that has circulated among crew for years is that the morgue is full and freezer space from the galley is being cleared. The cruise industry disputes this explanation, citing health and safety regulations that prohibit the storage of human remains near food. The regulations are real. Whether they are always followed is a question that health and safety inspectors, not passengers, are positioned to answer. The ship continues to the next port. Operation Rising Star completes. The family is contacted. The body is disembarked through a service entry away from the passenger gangway at a time when the terminal is not crowded. A death certificate is issued by local authorities. The family is responsible for the cost of returning the body to the home country, a process called repatriation, unless they have travel insurance that specifically covers this. Many do not. The ship replenishes its supplies. New passengers board through the main gangway. The buffet opens, the music plays on the pool deck, and somewhere on the lowest deck, the stainless steel room waits. I have already covered what happens when a ship loses all power at sea. In that scenario, the engineering systems that keep 6,000 people alive fail simultaneously. The hidden infrastructure that normally runs invisibly beneath the passenger experience becomes suddenly, catastrophically visible. The two videos connect because they describe the same thing from opposite directions: the gap between the experience a cruise ship sells and the engineering reality that makes it possible.